Chris Mabuya. He's in the Didorans area, monitoring the dry farm workers' strike in that region.
Workers have already indicated that they have given negotiations until today. There are those that are now saying they've listened to trade unions and they've listened to the ministers. They're mentioning among them Agriculture Minister Tina Joemat-Peters, who came here earlier during the 2 week strike to address the workers. She's among the ministers that have asked or appealed to them to give negotiations 2 weeks. They are now saying they want President Jacob Zuma to now come and listen to their demands because, according to them, the negotiations for 2 weeks have failed to resolve or to respond to their demand of 150 rand per day. The trucks that normally picks up the workers inside the Stoffland informal settlement and around the small farm town of the Didorans have returned empty, which is a sign that the workers have decided to stay away. And then some of them, we have spoken to them already, saying that they are prepared to stay away until their demand of 150 rand per day has been met. In this area of Stoffland informal settlement, during the first 2 weeks of the strike, about 8,000 seasonal workers embark on a strike in support of their demand of 150 rand a day. The situation today seems to be the same because it is the number of the same seasonal workers that have decided to stay away today, saying that the negotiations that they've given time until today to deal with their demand has failed to produce positive results.
Sure.
So we're expecting that same number to be the seasonal workers that are actually going to be staying away in the area of the Hex River Valley, where the majority of the seasonal workers actually are dealing with the table grape, which is the main product that these seasonal workers are actually dealing with. They are in the majority. But earlier, the Farmers Association actually mentioned that during the first 2 weeks strike, the permanent workers were actually on duty, although the farmers were actually affected because when the strike turned violent, and when the strikers are actually demanding that no one is actually going to go to work like what they used to in this informal settlement, blockading the road outside and into this informal settlement, it actually go and affect even the permanent farm workers that the employers are actually relying on a day like this when the seasonal workers are actually embarking on a strike in support of this demand of 150 rand per day.
Carol Swart, Assistant General Secretary of the Commercial Stevedoring Agricultural and Allied Workers Union.
Our position is very clear that from the start, we don't believe that this negotiation will deliver anything. It was clear you can't negotiate, but on the one hand, the farmers say there's no negotiations and so on. So, COSATU don't believe that there was any meaningful negotiations because there was preconditions and the farmers are not even meet those preconditions and so on. So,
what about COSATU's assertion that, in fact, the parties were closer to an agreement?
You see, Kalani, that is why we are very uncomfortable with this kind of positions. You see, and this position sending out very confused signals. You see, this position is basically involved the employers. This position involved the commercial farmers. That hardened. I think this position hardened the attitude of commercial farmers. That is no, even you can't nurse the farmers. You have to talk business with the farmers. And the thing that you can see COSATU insist there's meaningful negotiations, but the farmers denounce this negotiation, say there's no negotiation, there was just talks. So I don't know why COSATU insists there's negotiations while the farmers on the other end say there's no negotiations. COSATU was asked to intervene and to assist.
Yeah.
was the situation. But our sentiments is that we in the negotiation we said that we must take a hard line, we must take hard bargaining, so that we can reach a resolution very quickly. That was our position in the bargaining council meeting on the about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Because I would find it very reluctant to be part of these negotiations, while on the end of the day you coming with nothing back. So in our view, that is 3 weeks of wasting time.
Here's the problem. Problem is perhaps it's difficult to understand who is representing who here. As CSAU, who are you representing? How many workers in the Western Cape and on the farms are you representing?
You see, we approximately represent between 1,500 and 2,000 workers. We're also speaking for farm dwellers, but out of about 100,000. But you can say 2,000 is absolutely nothing. But there was a great meeting on Sunday. On this meeting in Aston, in Solani, there was about 1,000 people at this gathering. Workers speak that they don't want to listen to the ministers anymore. We don't want to hear from politicians anymore. We don't want to hear it. We only want the 150 rands.
If you are representing 2,000 workers out of 100,000 workers, who is representing the remainder, the 98,000 workers, and what are they saying about what is going on now?
Kulani, we must be very careful that, you see, the strike was not starting by the unions. It was a spontaneous strike that started from the ground, from the Dorings, and it spread to about 16 towns. So nobody can claim that he represents the majority. I mean, CSAU are not claiming that we're speaking for all the people. We're speaking for our constituency. So that is what we speak. So there is the workers go then in workers rise up against the conditions on the farms. There's also the committees on the farms. We believe the Democratic Workers Committee must be part of these negotiations. So that cannot be the union leadership that talk there was the relevant organization. So the Democratic Workers Organization must be part of that.
Final question for you, Karel. Then, on behalf of the 2,000 workers that you represent, what will happen today going forward?
Our workers gave us a mandate, Tulani, that the strikes must go ahead. We will continue with this action until our demands are met. That is the position of the workers.
We did indeed put a call through to the employers. Unfortunately, this morning, haven't been able to be successful in that regard. We haven't had anybody responding to our calls.